everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today is another amazing day. I get to sit down with another one of the gentlemen of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Today, I have with me Mr. Joshua Prater. He is the current Polaris of Beta Mu Omega out in Florida, and I am looking forward to spending some time with him today. But first and foremost, as I always do, sir, I take a quick moment to pause. Say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we can't get it back. So I truly appreciate you setting aside this time of your day to sit down and chat with me. With that, sir, welcome to the show.
No problem. Thank you. Anytime.
Awesome. I always start off these interviews by asking, how long have you been an Iota man and where did you pledge?
Yes, man. So I pledged at the Gamma Chi chapter, which is at FAMU. I've been a member since 2014, so a little over 10 years at this point.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. That's
FAMU. That's is that one of our HBCUs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what did you study while you were down there in FAMU?
Broadcast journalism.
Oh, okay. And after you graduated from college, is a career in broadcast right away, or what happened?
I actually didn't get many opportunities at all to be in broadcast journalism. So I went into the state government, worked with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement with background checks for firearms. And then I ended up actually becoming law enforcement for a little bit, and then went to social work to psychology.
Okay. All right. I ain't mad at you. That's my field, psychology. Your chapter, your alumni chapter, Beta Mu Omega, how long have you gentlemen been around?
We were founded in 2009. We recently just became active again after a long time of being gone. A lot of brothers moved out of town, went to different cities. So I worked on with a few of my brothers bringing back this chapter, and now we're here.
Awesome. Reactivated. Yeah, life gets to life, and so it's a little hard to keep us all together. So, well, we're glad you guys are down there, and you are in. I want to let everybody know you're in Tallahassee. Your chapter's in Tallahassee.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, my plan today is to talk about your career. You kind of mentioned a little bit of it, and I think it's a very interesting career that people might have heard. It's a buzzword that but people might not be familiar with exactly what you do. So we're going to kind of spend some time picking your brain today, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And you are a mobile response team counselor. Can you kind of unpack what that is and what that job description is all about?
Yes, ma'am. So I guess I'll start with a little background of how we got here, because it is a position that just became something in Florida. And it really started with a lot of the things going on with law enforcement and their interaction with people with mental health issues. Being a former police officer, been in the forefront of it myself. But a lot of times they don't get trained on how to deal with people with mental health. Yes, they get trained to take them to the Baker Act facilities, but that's not all they need at times. Sometimes they just need somebody to know how to deal with their behaviors. So a lot of push and leeway, a lot of push have came to create a position to where there's a position for between the counselor and between the police officer to engage our community that do have the mental health concerns to help de-escalate them in a crisis situation. That's what I did. A lot of times we're doing it over the phone, but there's times we have to go out in person because it can get to a point where they need us there. These are people who may be suicidal, homicidal at the moment, and we're trying to help these police officers get them de-escalate and calm down before someone loses their lives or to take their own life.
Awesome. So you mentioned on the phone. So the police officer calls you. Do you talk to the client over the phone, or how does that work?
So sometimes the client calls us directly because they know when they get to the situation. A lot of our clients are people who are frequent callers or people who understand what they're going through and need us to help calm them down. Police officers do call us too. They call and they get to the situation and say, hey, we need your advice on this. Can you talk to this person for me? And if that doesn't work, we sometimes we'll go out. If they don't talk to the phone, we say, okay, maybe we'll go out there. Then we keep ourselves safe too. So if it's late at night, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning and one of us is working, we have to balance between, is it safe enough to even go out there? Because if we don't keep ourselves safe, how can we keep them safe? A lot of times these officers in Tallahassee do a good job of de-escalating themselves and just need our advice anyway to see if they need a Baker Act somebody, Marshman Act somebody, or, are they good enough to stay home? So a lot of times they get it de-escalated, just need our advice to say, hey, what do we do? Because we got them de-escalated, but do we still need to Baker Act this person? Are they somebody that qualifies for this?
Okay, so you're not always going out on the scene. So when you do go out on the scene to
Mhm.
assess a call, what is the process for you? What are you looking for? What does that whole interaction look like?
Now, during the day, if it's somebody that we know needs to be Baker acted and our law enforcement don't really feel like they can't handle it, we'll go out there, or if can get there first. But sometimes
Mm-hmm.
at our own facility, we're going to respond to some of these situations too. So Tallahassee has one Baker Act facility, which is, well, they have three, but the big one is our facility, and they have everything there. They have group homes, all the such there. So a lot of times we respond even on our own campus to get people, de-escalated.
Okay.
Um, so we look for that if there need to be background enforcement. If we're not sure, we go see ourselves. If we're very sure and there's nobody that can go do it, we'll go do it if we have to. But you have to be a licensed counselor to do that. And some of our people aren't licensed counselors. So that's another thing too, is that some of us aren't licensed, so we can go Baker at people, but we can get our supervisor to go or one of the licensed counselors to go with us.
Okay. Okay. So are you only answering mental health calls, or are you also answering like child welfare calls and stuff like that?
So a lot of them kind of mix in. Because I also used to be a case manager for foster kids.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of it kind of integrates in itself. It's all what or the psychological term is co-current. All all kind
Hmm.
of flows together. So yes, we do answer calls from foster homes, from uh, relative caregiver homes, things like that too. It doesn't matter where it comes from as long as it's what we need to do. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of times we even take calls that have nothing to do with what we got to do, and we're just sending them to some other places.
Okay. Okay. Well, you mentioned that taking calls that have nothing to do with what you guys are doing. And I think there's a tight walk that the Good Samaritan has to walk. So sometimes they might see things that, should I make the call? Should I not make the call? Do you have any
Mhm.
tips on what a person should be looking for to say, I need to call somebody on this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And really, it's a gut feeling. If you're on the teetering line, say, should I call? You probably should call. That's how
Mm,
I look at it, because you never know what's going on. It's
hmm.
the same thing with if you're having an issue with somebody going through a domestic situation, you can hear it next door and you say, I really don't want to get into it, but
Hmm.
that's somebody's life that could be in stake too. It's the same thing in my eyes. If you
Hmm.
feel like something is going on, just call.
Okay.
If you're on the line saying, I don't know, that means you probably should call.
Okay. If you're on the line. All right. So in Florida, is it, because I know certain states have different numbers, is it always a 911 call, or do you have a dedicated number to call for?
We do. I don't know off the top of my head. It's like a 1-800 number.
Okay.
Um, and I'm trying to balance not really talking about the company, but talk about my job. Um, so if you can Google my company, then that's the best way to find. Because our number is very easily accessible. That's why we get
Okay.
so many calls from things that really are outside of our scope, because we've been put out there, and we
Okay.
advertised.
Okay. So your company, without saying your company, do you only service Tallahassee, or do you spread out across other counties
We'll do
in?
Leon County, so we'll do like neighboring counties like Gaston County, Jefferson County, Wakulla, Liberty County, because Tallahassee is surrounded by like 7 or 8 different counties. So we
Okay.
do help those counties out, and we have counselors posted out there in those different counties during normal business hours, and after everybody closes, they call the main one in Tallahassee, and then we'll help out whatever county calls in.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you to kind of give us some perspective on a scenario that happened in the past, so people can kind of have a better understanding of exactly what you do. And in the news a while back, there was this unfortunate situation in Illinois with this young lady called
Mhm.
𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗁 and law enforcement was called when she had a mental health episode, and it didn't turn out well. What would have happened differently if a mobile response team person had been called out?
And that's interesting you said that, because there's so many things in the news that are similar to that situation. And what would be different is that a lot of times the law enforcement officer, instead of going in and taking action, they would go get in their car, go outside and say, we're having this situation here, where this lady is doing X, Y, and Z. What do you think we should do? And if a situation like that happens, especially during the day, we definitely will go out to that call and say, hey, we'll be out there. We can help out. And then what's also cool is that we're not the only type of mobile response here in Tallahassee. There's different units. They have a unit that goes with police officers and ride around with them. So those police officers are trained to be with those people.
So
So
those are actually police officers.
there's that police officers are trained in it, and then they have a counselor with them sometimes too, right?
Okay.
And they specifically focus on these calls. So that
Mm.
really helps out too, especially us in our situation where people are calling in and it's like, oh, somebody's already on the way. They got a police officer unit. There's a unit with police officer with somebody available to come to you guys. They'll be on the way, and this is how long they'll take. So there's a whole team set up, a different type of mobile response we have. And that's what makes that situation pretty cool too, is that those officers probably go straight to that call versus just a regular everyday patrolman who doesn't know where they're going to get into. This officer know, oh, well, I know where we're getting into. I know I got the help I need just in case this happens.
Mm-hmm.
You can act now instead of waiting for somebody to show up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So are there many mobile response teams all throughout Florida, or is it still like a new popping up kind of thing?
There's more and more coming, and right now there are. I think there's a lot, but it could be more. Because we have to. A lot of calls we get too is that somebody calls from different kind of like, let's say somebody calls from Jacksonville. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's more response teams out there, so we
Mm-hmm.
will transfer them over there. Say, here's the number to this mobile response team. Give them a call so they can come out there if they can.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different ones in different cities, especially the bigger cities, and it's
Okay.
growing and growing.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, because it just seems like law enforcement is really struggling to handle these calls and the amount of these calls. And I guess that leads me to my next question, because you did mention that you segued from law enforcement to
Mhm.
this career. What do you see the differences in the styles of training when it comes to people going through mental episodes? Law enforcement is, I mean, because it seems like they're not as prepared.
Yeah, we expect them to have a psychological degree and a 12-month training.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough time for them to learn these things because I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting a whole master's degree and a PhD in it, and you expect them to know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why having people in my position is critical for them because they get trained as much as they can on how to do it. They've had us spend like the whole 2-3 months on training on how to talk to people having mental health concerns and everything. And then the area I worked in, we dealt with it all the time. So I got
Mm-hmm.
training to do it, but then when I actually studied it, I realized how much I didn't know.
Okay. Okay.
So it's and a lot of these guys who are law enforcement, some of them don't even have college degrees. They're coming from the military. They're coming. Some places you come straight out of high school.
Mm,
So I think the expectation really is unfair to these law enforcement officers to have to go deal with these things. And yeah, I'm studying it for was it 3-4 years now.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's an expectation that I learned that was very hard to reach for law enforcement to do. And I think the best way to go about it is what we're doing now is having these teams set up to help them out so that they can know how to handle it or let somebody handle it that can. And then they can be there for the safety concerns. If something happens where they might put somebody in danger, they can act.
Mm, good point. Good point. So you just mentioned that. Explain the training process to become a mobile response team counselor. What does that look like?
That's something I think they're really trying to still figure out because a lot of these people
Oh.
are licensed already or they're getting licensed while they're there. Um, Luckily for me, I had a ton of experience doing these things, and I think that's what at least where I'm working at, they decided they're going to find people that already have experience doing this. So the requirements they have already have you ready for the job. You just go into training at the company, and then they show you how to do mobile response, so you can be your counseling however you counsel people. So it kind of
Mm-hmm.
gives you the freedom to counsel how you do and be human. Because a lot of times
Mm,
it's just understanding when you were doing our job. So the training really is from what you've already done, your experience, and they want you to have
life
that experience when
experience.
you come in.
Okay, life experience. So there's
Mhm.
no coursework. Is there like you have to have, I, I guess, can somebody with just a high school diploma become a mobile response team or?
No, I needed my master's degree to do it in psychology. And then my experience with law enforcement with especially with my foster kids. I was a foster care worker in Jacksonville, And that gave me enough training to do what I'm doing now. And I've had experience being on the phone and going out on top of that with my foster kids and with my job at FDLE. So my experience all kind of melted in to help me out in my studying. And now they allow me to study from a PhD too as well. So as I'm working, I'm getting more and more knowledge.
Okay. So when we get the PhD, we'll be running the whole program. What happens for you then?
I wish my boss is amazing, so I don't expect to run that at all. I'm hoping that I can do research on more care for foster kids, mental health care for foster kids, because you'll hear a constant frustration from the foster teens that they don't want to do counseling, they don't want to do these things because it does not work for them. It's there for them. So I want to do research in that, and on top of that, probably be a professor somewhere, maybe.
Okay, okay, I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you make contact with a person,
Mm-hmm.
you do the assessment, and are you with that person for the rest of the journey, or do you refer them out to other services around town?
Yeah, we tend to refer them, especially because our company does a lot of different services. So we'll do what we call warm handoff to these services a lot of the times. And if there's somebody who goes inpatient, they go inpatient and they'll refer them, and they will make sure they refer them to where they need to go to. Sometimes we'll even go do another counseling session too when they get there with them because they heard our voice. So we'll go there and talk to them and see how they're
Uh,
doing, keep checking them, do follow-ups if we talk to them, and then we do one maybe in a day or two later. We'll call them and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you holding up? Is this still going on? Are you still thinking this way? What are you thinking? Where are your feelings at?
Now, do you have a heavy caseload? Because I know in a lot of cities, like with social workers and you mentioned foster care and stuff like that, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of
Mhm.
clients. Do you have balance?
Yes, that's the best part about my job. Being from going from foster care and having a heavy caseload to not have I don't have a caseload at all. There's no caseload. We tag team our follow-ups together at where I work at. So no, there's the caseload is night and day.
Wow. So you get to protect your own mental health in this whole journey.
Right. Yes, ma'am. And then working with having great coworkers has been amazing too. So that also helps.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like we might be there for a minute, right?
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping I can finish my PhD while I'm there and then see where life takes me.
Okay. Okay. We'll keep our eye on. Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. All righty. So, you mentioned that sometimes you go out on these calls
Mm-hmm.
personally, and my concern, being Auntie Lana here, is your personal safety. So how do you, I mean, you have law enforcement training, but not all people, I'm assuming, go into this career have that. What's the protocol for you answer the call and you're trying to do your thing, and somebody pops up with a machete or something like that? How do you protect your own safety?
So there's a lot of things we can't do. As you probably were aware, it's a lot like being a case manager. You can't have certain weapons on you.
Mm-hmm.
They treat us. They tell us. They treat us. They train us into have how to contact people, how to push people out, de-escalate them. But we're also with law enforcement too. So law enforcement is a lot of times our security blanket when it comes to safety. That's why at night we don't go out as much as we do during the day because it's just not safe. Our
Mm-hmm.
we are At least my company tries to make sure that we are safe. That's the
Mm-hmm.
main thing. They focus on that part. So that's why, because I work at night. So it's we're very particular when we go out at night for a reason. And me being me and been there and done that before, I tell people all the time, you park a block away so people can't see where your car is at so you can get away. You don't park in driveways so you can get out so people can't trap you. You don't When you answer the door, don't be right in the doorway. They call it the hallway of death. Don't stay in the doorway
Mm-hmm.
side somewhere. So somebody does try to get you, you can at least get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of safety trips that you should think about, we try to avoid the situation by not putting ourselves in certain situations at all. That's the best way to be safe right now. And I think that's something that most mobile response teams are trying to figure out too, is how can we do this safely and be there for these clients who really need us.
Okay, okay. And some of the mobile response team and handling the mental wellness calls, is it sometimes complicated with, I know we're having this drug crisis that's complicating the mental health. Does that present more challenges for you when you're answering calls?
Yes and no. I'm used to for me personally, I'm used to dealing with people with drug issues and things like that as well. So I've been trained to do it. Honestly, the hardest part is dealing with somebody who absolutely has made up their mind that they are ready to take their lives. That's the hardest part. Because it's hard to convince somebody out of a mindset that really is just ready, that they feel like it's their time. I've had a few of those calls, and that's been mentally tough to deal with. But that's why we also need our own counselors. We have our own people we talk to, because we need it.
Yeah, you gotta release that. You can't hold on to that. Okay, okay. Now you kind of spoke on this, but there might be some young folks that are listening to you and say, I kind of like what he's doing. What would you suggest to them to set themselves up, early on, like high school, to have some sort of career like this? Because this is a new emerging kind of field.
The thing I like about high schools now is they offer so many opportunities to take certain classes, that psychology classes, philosophy classes. Those are two areas I will focus on because a lot of psychology start off from philosophy. Um, and just knowing what school you want to go to, figure out what school really offers these and can help you get not just your degree in psychology, but your license in psychology that will send you the right way. Because a lot of these schools will have you take certain classes, but they won't give you the right courses to get that license according to Medicaid. Because a lot of times Medicaid is how you get your license. I learned that the hard way when I was case manager and I got my master's. They told me, hey, you don't have the classes to be licensed, so you have to go take these courses. And I was like, well, I'll just go get my PhD then. I'm gonna
There
keep
you
going to
go.
school.
There you go. There you go. And one more game gonna start on the show. I'm gonna find another way to get it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. Oh, so didn't know that that you couldn't. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And let me quickly do the HBCU shout out. What do you think the benefits are going for you personally of attending a HBCU?
Um, I don't know if you met any rattlers before, but we're like a cult. Like we love our school. I love FAMU, and I would tell anybody if you can opportunity to go to a HBCU, go to one no matter which one it is. I'd rather you go to FAMU. I do not want you to go to Daytona, but come to Tallahassee. Go to anywhere you want to go. Even if it is Daytona, enjoy the HBCU life. It's amazing. You get to experience family, honestly, and that's really what you get is family and fun. I'm still best friends with half the people I met there. Even with my fraternity, I have met so many family members there. They got me through so much, even my own tough personal situations. They helped me even think about doing this and being in mental health because my fraternity pushes mental health so much. Um, so HBCUs, I say go for it. Nothing against PWIs at all, but HBCUs is where it's at.
Yeah. Okay. You guys just had homecoming, or you're about to have
Oh
homecoming?
yeah, we had it Saturday.
You were there?
I'm still resting from it. Still resting because I had worked and then I went straight to the parade because I had to take care of my niece there, help them set the tailgate, and then went straight back to work. So,
Can't beat that experience. Can't
yep.
beat that experience. So, one last question, and then I'm going to ask you my random question. You mentioned in the opening that your chapter has just reactivated. And a lot of times, when we get grown and we have responsibilities, it's just kind of hard to make everybody stay connected. What's the hardest thing about being the leader in a whole bunch of grown men? What do you find most challenging?
Well, I never saw myself to be in this position, and I've always told my chat members that I never ever wanted to be president of anything. I'm always the guy who went out and got stuff done. So the challenge has really been, asking for help. Honestly, I still ask them to do things, but a lot of times, like, oh, I'll go do this. I'll be the one to volunteer, and I gotta remember, I'm not supposed to be the one volunteering. I'm supposed to try to get volunteers. So that's probably been the toughest part. Because my brothers I have now in my chapter are amazing. They are the reason why we're still able to push this through and even try to expand even. So we don't have many members, but I always tell people the reason why we're called Iota is because we have less people than you guys, but we have people that can do as much work as the same number of guys you have.
There you go. We can be small, but we can be mighty.
Yep.
There you go. I like that. And how many guys are there in the chapter currently?
We're about 10 in town right now.
That's
Yep,
all
yeah,
right.
about 10 and down now.
That's all right. Strong but mighty. Y'all got enough to do the work. All righty, dear. Well, let me ask you my random question, and then I'm going to ask you to tell us how we connect with your chapter, forever down your way. Do you have a Instagram, Facebook, or anything? Or you guys are working on the?
Yeah, we just made an Instagram account. We posted a few events on there. The Instagram account is 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏, I believe. Let me make sure before I tell you. Let's see. Yeah, 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗏.
Okay,
That's our new chapter. It says 𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗑𝗥 chapter of Iota Phi Theta. I just started this page probably 2-3 weeks ago, actually.
Okay, all right. We getting it
Same
together.
thing with the Facebook page too.
Okay, we getting it together. All right, we're gonna keep our eye out on you guys. Okay, so this is a random question. Best place you've had a burger at?
Best place I had a burger. So it's funny because I don't eat beef that much. I don't eat pork and beef that much.
We can have veggie burger too.
Yeah, I'll eat veggie or turkey burgers. I've been eating more burgers lately. I think the best burger I had was probably in Jacksonville, because I used to live in Jacksonville for about 5 years. And I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It was somewhere on the west side of Jacksonville. One should have been a place I probably should have been at.
That's always the best place.
Oh, I always tell people the best place, some best places are like Waffle House. The dirtier it is, probably the better the food is. Same thing with we had a place called Chubby Wings here, and people will tell you it was the most dirty place to look at, but the wings were the best.
Food was the bomb, huh?
So find you a good old a Waffle House in Atlanta maybe. And I will say probably the best burger I had lately though was actually at Waffle House. They had this bacon burger cheeseburger that my girlfriend would tell me because she works there, and she's like, get this and try it, you'll love it. And every time I get somebody to try that burger, they fall in love with it. I don't know what is it about that burger. It's a simple bacon, it's this bacon the little flatbread they have. It's just bacon, onions, cheese, just regular stuff, and it just tastes good for some reason.
Waffle House, you're gonna get some food and you're gonna get some entertainment. Somebody's gonna have a little scene situation going on.
Yep.
You might even have a mental health crisis you might have to turn on your career hat for, but Waffle House is always entertaining. Always entertaining. Well, sir, I am so proud of you. Your career, pursuing your PhD. I will circle back and keep my eye on you. It's because I'm expecting, speaking to existence, big things for you. Don't let me down. I'm just, always proud to run into my brothers who are doing awesome and amazing. So congratulations from little old me. I'm so proud.
No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate the time you gave for not just talking about my career, but also my fraternity. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time. You guys have truly been a blessing to me and continue to be a blessing to me. So I'm looking forward to continuing to speak to you, awesome and amazing gentlemen. You guys are doing some wonderful things in this world.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. And if you ever need us again or want to talk to us again, doors open.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.